Hey, CoupleyFit fam. Welcome back to another episode. This is our anniversary episode. Do you know what today is? It's our anniversary. Come on now.
It's our anniversary. 9 years.
Hold on. That's giving Kurt choir. Middle school.
Oh man, I was definitely in the choir. Everybody don't know that. You're giving away the secrets, but that's why we're here. 9th anniversary. We're gonna give away some secrets today.
Yes, 9th anniversary, wedding anniversary. So by the time this episode comes out, we will be celebrating. So we want to give you guys just, we don't have any cue cards. We're just gonna be rolling with it and just seeing where this goes.
Freestyle. And what I love about the freestyle is, when we think about how fast. Like it's gone by fast, but there's been so many moments and experiences that we'll never forget. We talked about the phases in a recent episode. We talked about the phases of marriage, but I feel like we've literally seen those phases. We've lived them.
Yeah, so we're going to be celebrating 9 years married, 11 years together. So you start talking about, you're putting in a decade, a 10 piece, 10 piece. So we have definitely, highs, lows, roses, thorns.
And not only that, I just want to say I'm super grateful because I love you even more today than when I first met you, obviously.
I love you so much.
For sure.
Yes.
And I don't know if everybody feels that way. I feel like a lot of people, it's like, man, I remember the days. Used to cook for me, but
back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore.
But speaking of that, us not having
because you were 25.
25. That's pretty.
Well, I was
young.
25. You were 26.
26. But when people think back, that's pretty young. But I think there's such a. I saw a stat that said 80% of millionaires are married.
Sure.
And I was like,
that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. But why does that make sense to you?
On many levels. Well, first and foremost, it's a trust factor.
It's true.
So outside people then trust you because you have a wife, potentially a family. There is also the fact that, again, specifically, we're talking about heterosexual relationships, that what wives bring to the table for men specifically, not saying that men are the ones that are the millionaires, but this is just based off of the research that I've seen, is the addition of having the woman's viewpoint,
yes,
point of view, but then also we're wired differently. We're wired in the sense of multitasking, knowing and understanding details, right? What's going to come next, where that can be a great addition to anybody that's really going to be out there making that money.
Well, you've been a great addition to me, and I think about that as just how much I've learned from the beginning, being like, no, I got it. All my finances, I got everything on lock. I just need to make more. It's like, no. You can't just make more. You need to really lock in on the details, on the numbers, on the spreadsheets, and those aren't things that are like my skill set per se. Like I don't want to be in Excel breaking it all down, but that's a strength that you have. And so I just think there's a lot of husbands or even someone that's getting into a relationship right now that's trying to figure out how do I get to 9 years, or how do I mesh with my partner? And a lot of it is too making sure that you're utilizing your partner's strengths.
Right.
Because so many people are not, like, what do they say? You're underutilized, or you're underestimating your partner. And there's so many moments when you've been legit the secret weapon. Your wife is your secret weapon, or your husband could be your secret weapon, because there's been times where I'm so in it with the business opportunity or the move or the job or the whatever, and you're like, literally, like you're sifting through like the clouds, the clever words people are saying. You're like, no, that's not it.
No,
that's not it. Or that is it.
Yes. And to your point about strengths, right? Something I think that you were alluding to is also we both have great discernment, but I also, over the years, have had discernment on, I will tell you, within probably 10 seconds of you introducing me to somebody, or us being, in a networking opportunity and we meet somebody, oh, no, they're not the ones. I got the vibe. The Holy Spirit was talking to me and said, that's a no-go. That's you're like, what do you mean? No, they said all the right things.
Me and him got lunch on Thursday.
Yeah, and I'm telling you.
Cancel the lunch.
That's not it. We're not moving forward.
Cancel the lunch.
Right. But same with you, right? When you talk about utilizing the strengths, is also knowing and understanding for you specifically your day-to-day. So if there's a task that needs to get done that day and focus, that's what you can do. But also we've taken multiple tests over the years to show us who we are when it comes to, yes, personality traits, but also how we work. So I also know for you that when it comes to the day-to-day tasks, you know, 2 of your top 5 strengths, which we actually share, are focus and relatability. So I think that's something that we also see too. And achiever, I think, was another one for you, I believe, right?
Absolutely.
Achiever too. So I know whatever task you're going to get that day, not only are you going to do it, but you're going to do it with excellence. So it's, again, to your point, knowing and understanding what are the strengths of your partner, but then also what are the areas of opportunity, because there may be some areas where it's like, hey, over time, now that we're 9 years in, there have been some areas where before, when we first were married at 25 and 26, now that we're 34 and 35, we're just a whole new version of ourselves. Yeah. And so with that comes more wisdom, comes more also, I think something too that you've learned over the years is how to interact with people that...
Say, get off your chest. What you mean, interact with people?
I've had to tell you over time, like, hey, that person doesn't deserve your time. Just period. You're like, no, everybody, I want to give my time to everybody. You can have time. You can have time. But knowing time is your greatest asset, no, I don't want to say you're wasting your time, but you're kind of wasting your time on this person, or they're just not ready, right? It goes back to when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so over time, I've had to tell you that. I'm just like, hey, no, we're not. That's done for now. If they want to come back later and they're ready later, that's fine. But you don't have that time right now and they're not ready. So don't waste your time.
Keep it pushing.
Keep it pushing.
No, but you're so right. And a lot of times I think that can be a sticking point or a pain point in people's marriages and relationships, because it's like, my partner is giving me this great feedback, but it's uncomfortable. Because then you have to make a critical decision or have a critical conversation with somebody.
But also feel like you're coming for me.
Absolutely. Because it's like, you're saying I don't see it, or you're saying this person's been around and like I didn't see the flaws, or I've been glossing over. And this could be family, friends, it could be whatever. And sometimes it's getting that other set of eyes that's not in it and doesn't know them. And you're just calling out the blatant examples of like, hey, how did you feel about this?
Yes.
Hey, did you notice this? Mm-hmm. Hey, maybe you should redirect that time towards these other things. And it was such a great call out. And I think something that just in the area of growth, because we're not perfect by any means.
Oh, no.
We're always learning, growing, and evolving.
Yes.
But one thing that we've definitely done is the time that it would take for me to get where you're coming from, or like see it. Because there used to be a time where it's like, man, months could go by.
Yes.
Where it's like you said it, but I'm like, all right, no way, not my mans. And then another incident, and it's like 3 strikes.
It takes time.
It takes time, but then once you acknowledge it, and now it's like so much faster, because you'll call it out. I'll see it, or it'll be a flag before I even get to an incident. Yes. And I just think those things make a lot of sense. But so many times, if you're not in tune and you're not locked in with your partner, worst case, you stop mentioning what you see.
Yeah. And it's interesting. So 2 points came across for me. So number one is what you're also saying without saying is that you trust my abilities. You trust 100%. My vision. You trust what I see, what I hear.
No confusion, 100%.
No confusion. But what I will say is, again, not being 9 years in, married, but 11 years together, trust is time plus consistency. Yeah. So over time, right, I've been saying these things or just pointing these things out, mentioning them to you, and consistently doing that. And then that equals that trust piece where it's okay. No, I know if she says something now, she saw something I didn't see, or now you're to the point where I did see it, but oh wait, you just brought it to my attention again. Oh my gosh. And so for me, a lot of times I'm seeing it in the moment, and I'll mention to you like after the event or after we leave, and you're, oh, I did see that now that you mentioned that, where before it's, nah, I don't think so. No, that didn't happen. So time plus consistency equals trust was the first piece. And then the second piece was talking more about how you have to know your partner and know who they are, what they bring to the table, and also believe in it, right? Believe in what they're saying. And it's not like you're being vindictive or you're trying to manipulate me into thinking something else that didn't happen. And so it's interesting because, you know, now that we're 9 years in, we were just talking, we were like, do you feel like it's been 9 years? I mean, on one end, yes, but then on the other end, no. It still feels as if we're still ramping up, you know, like we're still on the on-ramp heading onto the freeway.
Facts. And I mean, because to that point, like we talk about this as each birthday passes. I'm just thinking about like different holidays and different moments, but we don't feel like old or like, oh man, we're getting so much older. Because I think when people think of, oh, you've been together, man, y'all been together over 10 years, 11 years, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Do you feel old now? Do you feel like you're just like, you know, no. Like I literally feel like we've done more traveling in the past year than we've done previously.
Absolutely.
The experience and the moments we've been able to experience together, like those are things that we look forward to now more than ever.
Right.
And let's also be honest, right? Like we might have had a little bit more energy for nightlife or going out and things like that back in the day. But now, you know, it is great to be more established and like we know what we're doing. We know the opportunities also together as a business and being a husband and wife in business together. It feels like even a bigger milestone because not only are we celebrating on the marriage side, but it's like, man, we've been able to accomplish all of these things together as well as husband and wife, which like that's so rare. Like most people talk about how it doesn't work out when you're in business with your spouse or, you know, there's struggles on the marital side and on the business. Like, no, like it really feels like just truly blessings. And I know we're just grateful to God because that's been the foundation and the peace that has just made sure despite any of the chaos, the valleys, like we've been able to really have the faith and stick together throughout it all.
Yeah. I mean, and when you talk about the faith component, we literally would not be here without God as our foundation because we, you know, went through some true trials and tribulations that not only tested us, but they tested individually. And, you know, you can either grow from it or you can continue to stay where you are. And so we did choose to grow from it, but the growing pains were real. They were real. So I want to quickly ask you, you know, do you remember our first anniversary? I do.
Back. Okay, give me the walkthrough. First anniversary.
The first anniversary, I believe we stayed in. Actually, we stayed in. We froze the top of our wedding cake. Do you remember that?
I do.
So we had our wedding cake as dessert, and then I made salmon with grilled vegetables, mashed potatoes. I remember that specifically.
And I just will say this, brothers, get you a woman that can cook now, because when you get hungry, you want to be able to
barbecue salmon.
Oh, it was hitting. I remember that now as you say it.
That too. And then I created these. I went to Michael's and I created movie tickets.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like now screening whatever movie we were watching, and then I had popcorn, yogurt dipped pretzels, Oreos.
Snacks were on 10.
Snacks were on 10. But we ended up staying in our first anniversary, which I thought was really interesting too. But then when I do think about it though, gosh, our first 5 years, there was a lot happening. We had a lot going on, just really on the personal side. We're growing a business. And then
in the
also
family business at the time.
In the family business. And I also remember us, you know, this goes back to when you tell God your plans, he laughs. Because we thought we're going to have 2 kids by 30. This is where we're going to be. This is what we're going to do. And so it's just interesting also being, you know, 34, 35. We haven't,
no kids.
Well, we haven't started our family yet. But also seeing too the incredible things that we've been able to do because we have that freedom to pick up and go. And that hasn't been always, you know, something that, well, it's just something we get asked all the time, right?
Yeah,
where
people will
are
assume,
always,
you must not want kids, or why are you waiting so long?
Why can't you? Why not?
You know, I think, you know.
Do you have the money for babysitting, for school, for the $30,000 it costs in the first year? And
people be disrespectful too. Like, I'll never forget, I had one of my coaches ask, are you shooting blanks? How come you don't have no kids? I'm like, hold on. Can we just be waiting?
That's
like
crazy. But it shows you how unorthodox it is. It shows you how
it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be fast, 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 fast. First comes love, then comes baby, then comes marriage, then comes baby in a baby carriage, right? And so it's one of those things too where it is something that was a conscious decision that we both made, but it's been nice. I mean, we've been able to really make some incredible moves, you know, just being able to go to Europe for a couple of weeks and not have to worry about like checking in with my mom. Hey, how are the kids doing? Hey, mom, can you handle a week and a half away? You know, just that was our choice. Now, you know, I know that's not everyone's choice, but that was our choice.
And you're so right. And it is a sacrifice because when we do have kids, right, we'll be, you know, not old, but older parents compared to having kids when you're 25 or 26. But I also think about it. There was just a clip from a podcast that Aisha Curry went on, and she was talking about having these career aspirations and things she wanted to get accomplished, but she had kids and feels like, and a lot of people were coming for her like, well, why, you know, how dare, you know, man, how come you feel like you shouldn't have like had the kids, or why, you know, your career? And it's like, well, wait a minute, you can be dual faceted. You can be a mom and you could have wanted to have career aspirations or be, you know, a high achiever. You can do both, or also you could have wanted to have all of these plans, but kids, you're like, hey, I'm focused on mom mode right now, and that might have to be on the back burner.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now, anniversary wise, do you have a favorite memory?
Man, I would probably say the favorite memory that I have is, I'm just thinking about us going out to dinner. You had this red dress on. I could see the dress. I had on a black blazer. I had a little red.
The Biltmore.
Yes.
Renatas.
Yes. That was a great experience. And it just was more so the memory of us celebrating. And that's something that we've added in, is like going out to dinner and really celebrating it. Because although first anniversary was incredible, right? Like that's a lot of cooking and things that you had to do on our anniversary versus us.
I don't mind. But
I know, but I'm just saying us being able to go out and like just focus on us versus like you're prepping, you're hosting me, you're catering, you're doing dinner. Like it's a whole, you know, use it. Michael's cutting stuff out. So like I appreciate it, right? And it definitely had the personal touch, but I did love us being able to just really break bread, enjoy, celebrate, talk about all of the things, especially the last year, and like what we vision boarded, what we talked about, prayed about, and how it's come to fruition. And also like you said, the areas where God was like, nope, you know, he kind of laughed at the plans, but then, just the moments together. So for the most part, it's really been just like the quality time and being able to spend that together for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I remember that one. That was a good one. I would have to say mine was, one of my favorite ones was last year, because that was our golden anniversary, 8 years.
That's true. I didn't want to just go last year because it was like, that's the most recent.
No,
but that's a great one.
8 years on the 8th. I like that one too, because we also went back to Stake 44. That's where we proposed. Yes. So there was just a lot of full circle moments with that too, which was really nice. And that was definitely one of my favorite ones for sure.
I love it. So I got a question for you. So as we look at the next 9 years, what are the biggest things that we've learned that we want to take into the next 9 years of marriage?
The biggest things that we
You can just give me one. Just like one thing that you're like, I want to, like, we have to take this or continue doing this over the next 9 years.
Well, it's two.
Okay.
So one is communication.
Yes.
Right? Just continuously communicating on all levels, truly how we're also feeling. But then it was interesting because I was watching this podcast, and she was talking about asking your partner what you require. And I thought that was really interesting, you know? And so she was saying things of, you know, I require, what?
I was just thinking 3 squares a day.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Exactly. Exactly. But basically just being open with, this is what I require, in you know, requires kind of can be restricting in some ways, but this is just what I am looking for either from you, and what not that I'm looking for this from you to fulfill what I need inside of myself, because you always need to fulfill yourself first. You can't look to your partner to do that. Yeah. And so one thing would be communication. The other one would be ensuring that we have that time to ourselves, in the sense of we're pulling away from CoupleyFit. So we're not talking about the business. We're truly talking about us, where we are, our roses, our thorns, our aspirations, goals, really making sure that we're staying on the same page and growing together. Although you may not be growing at the same pace, you're still knowing and understanding, okay, this is where you want to go. This is where I want to go. How can we help each other get there? And then ultimately you'll get there together, because that's the goal. And that's because we've heard time and time again, couples continuously saying, I've outgrown this person or this relationship. And so I would say communication and making sure that we are having that quality time together.
Yeah, no, I love it. And so the quality time, really, two things that come to my mind are really aligned with exactly what you said on the communication and the vision. And then also the quality time was the date nights, right? Which you just talked about, which I love. And then to me, something that I absolutely want to take into the next 9 that we didn't always do. So this is one that we've added in, especially more recently, but really doing our vision boarding.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
At the start of every year, because when you think about it, and something that I love, we have a vision board individually, which is just what you talked about of everybody has their own individual goal. Like everything, like you don't necessarily like to run. I might have 5K or marathon on my vision board, and you're like, you got that. I'm going to support you from the sideline, right? Or yours may be.
I'll walk it.
You'll walk it, right? But like that's a perfect example. But then something that we look at together as we created our vision boards even for this year was, our motivational speaking and us being able to really have more public speaking opportunities and really share our voice. And then that's up on both individual vision boards. But that's an area we could cheer each other on and be able to be big supporters. And then having a separate vision board for CoupleyFit in business of like, these are the things that we want to get accomplished, that we want to do, boxes that we want to check. But I feel like it sets such a strong, and then we actually put them up on the wall so that we can see them. Because I feel like it makes such a difference when you can look up, see it, even have it on my watch where I can see it as an Apple Watch face of like, hey, this is on the vision board. But then we can also have that check-in at the end of the year, even at other points where it's like, how are we doing?
Yes.
Like, are we seeing it? Are we pacing? Are we getting there? And I just think that makes such a difference for us because, again, we constantly hear, like you said, couples feel like they're growing apart or they're drifting in different directions. If the vision board is there, or you're having that discovery of asking the question of, oh, you want to go to Alaska, you trying to move, like, why is Alaska on your vision board? We supposed to be in California, right? Like, it just allows you to at least have the conversation and get on the same page.
Yes. That's fantastic. I'm glad you shared that. I do believe quite a few people are going to take that with them. Something that came to me too was 2 more things, actually, and they kind of merge together with the 2 things that I mentioned before. But one of them is going to be having new experiences together, i.e. when we went to Europe. That was a new experience. Everything was new for the first time. Even just learning the train system, the Eurostar, all of it was new. Learning that you have to pay to go to the bathroom was the wildest thing. I couldn't even, that was
I was baffled.
I'm baffled. We were in Amsterdam talking about $1 to go to the bathroom.
What do you mean, where's my coins?
What do you mean? So again, I think having those new experiences together, because we are putting ourselves both in a situation where not one person knows more than the other. We're figuring this out together. And it just allows you to be in the moment and be present. I thought we really did a great job of that. Although I had a basic itinerary of, okay, if we're in Amsterdam, these are some of the Dutch foods we need to get.
Pancake.
Right? Oh my gosh, that Dutch pancake was phenomenal.
I'm still working off that pancake.
Oh, so good. That was so good. And they had gluten-free. Oh, divine. So that was number 1. And then number 2 is making sure that we stay in a childlike mindset, in the sense of, for us, I would say at least once a year we're going to Dave & Buster's, which is where we have our first date.
I'll say once every couple months.
Do we?
We're doing. We've been to either the Pop Stroke. We went to Dave & Buster's. We went to.
Yes, I was talking Dave & Buster's specifically.
But I'm saying it's a form of Dave & Buster's where you're playing arcade or games.
Yes, because that's something for us where, yes, we can be competitive, but we're also having so much fun.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yes, and there's no judgment or anything. We're both kind of new at this and just figuring this out. But I would say I'd add those 2 things in too, because those 4 together for me over the next 9 years, what can go, we'll just keep building.
I love that. And building on that foundation. And one of the other things, speaking of foundation, this was probably arguably the best piece of advice, aside from like keep God first and faith, the next best piece of advice that I received that I definitely wanted to continue to take into the next 9 years that I learned throughout the marriage journey was it's always about us.
Yes.
Silence all the other voices, all the other inputs.
Noise.
It's noise.
Noise.
So you can, again, you can have conversations with loved ones, family, mom, dad, whoever, but really realizing that it comes down to you and your husband or your wife.
We're the only ones in this relationship.
But so often, like, again,
the
outside voices and feedback and how things need to be done. And that's right now, there's somebody listening and that's dictating their marriage or their relationship is mom, dad, loved one, family member, cousin, them, siblings, whatever it may be of like, oh no, they said it has to be this way. Or, oh no, like I thought it was this. And it really comes down to how you all want to operate. But also it's so important how you choose your partner because, again, you want to be able to know I'm building on the right foundation with the right person so that I don't have to worry. Like those people aren't coming to save you. They're more so like, hey, we're building together.
I love that. And to your point, I think something else too that we briefly talked about before was when you think of marriage, you think you have to get married in your 20s or, even in your 30s, right? Yes, that would be ideal, I feel like, for most people. And there has been statistics that have come out and said 26 is the ideal age to get married. But at the same time, wait to find your person. If you can wait, right? Obviously for women, we have a lot more things to consider. And if you have the option to be able to, for example, freeze your eggs, right? That's something that you can do so that you can find the right person and take those next steps. But really take your time and find the right person because this is the biggest decision that you'll ever make in your life, truly, in my opinion, because your partner will either elevate you or bring you down. And you need to be able to have somebody, depending on what you want to do, right, with your life, that's going to help elevate you and get you to where you want to be, as well as together as a unit. And so I just am always, you can be in your 60s and still find love and find marriage and find that person that's right for you. And you can have a second marriage too, right? Second, hopefully not a third or fourth, but you can have another marriage where you find that right person, but just take your time. And it's not easy to find the right person, especially in this day and age, for sure, with the apps and, with the way that society is going right now. But they're out there. The people are out there. You just have to, keep searching and keep going into the right places and ask your friends that you trust to, hey, do you know anybody, right? Like, don't be afraid to ask for help too, right? And also matchmakers. I think people overlook matchmakers.
They do. Like right now, I feel like matchmakers they're probably trending up.
They should. Because if you think about it, you and I, we've watched Millionaire Matchmaker on Netflix, right? But even just helping out some other people that we know personally that are looking for their significant other, when we've mentioned Matchmaker, they say, wait, huh?
I never thought about that.
I never thought about that. I've heard of it, but I've never thought about that for myself. Highly recommend, take a look and just see. You never know. This is their job. Is to match you up. Expertise, right? I have however many years in this field matching people up. And I think that that's just overlooked when we talk about, if you are, a little bit later in life potentially and who you're looking for.
No, it's a great call out. And I think, that advice that we have received and we always ask. And for those out there, when you see a couple that's jovial or happy or celebrating anniversary, man, tell me, what's y'all's secret? And chew out the meat and spit out the bones. If they say something crazy, like they polygamous or they doing something, like spit that out. But I just say that to say, that's not my life. That's not my life. But you can ask people, like, what's working for you and just continue to add, like, for us, different things, date nights, traveling, doing even a big, like, and this was just something else that, again, we're probably, I think we gave like 5 things already. We might give 9. But here's another thing that you can take into the next 9 years that I know that we'll take is incorporating us traveling together in our unique experiences, even when it's work. If you've got an opportunity in Seattle, like, hey, how much is that trip? I'm going to come join you. Yes, to support, but if we can work remotely, like, let's do that. Sometimes, like, that's an option, but I think so often people assume, oh, my partner doesn't want to go.
Right.
You don't want to come with me to the conference because it's way out there and it's a far travel, but you're like, oh my gosh, I'd love
Right.
to go to Germany. Or you know what, like, let's find these ways where if you're on a road trip or something like that, like, let me roll with you and we go together, because so often the time apart could actually be time together if you're really making an effort to make it work. And I feel like
Right.
us just making that effort and trying to find a way. I mean, even something as small as you're supposed to leave on a Sunday and it's like, hey, how do I get back early on a sooner flight so we can spend more time together and keep our routine on a Sunday? Like,
Right.
I feel like those little things just go a really long way when you're
Right.
talking about like building on the current love that you have and
Right.
just continuing to grow together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 9 years in, I'm sure we're going to do this episode next year, and we're going to be 10 years in and have some more perspectives. But I do think that the more we talk about this, the more that we are using our voices. And again, we are not experts, like you've mentioned before. We are just talking about our experiences, what we've seen, what we've also lived ourselves. And, there are some things that we'll get into a little bit later of, because people may think, oh my gosh, you guys are always talking about it's so good, it's positive all the time, right? And that's not necessarily always the case. And we'll kind of get into some of that a little bit later. But for us to be fully transparent, we don't talk about anything we haven't healed from.
Correct.
So there may be some things that we're still healing from that we haven't talked about, but when we do, we will. And I think that will ultimately be able to help people, because I know for us, it's been a long journey, and we've had our ups and downs, and we've, in the sense of two, mostly though from outside sources, really. It hasn't truly come from within, but outside sources can break a marriage, truly. Just like you were talking about before, right? How many people are talking to their mom, their dad, their friends, and they're dictating their relationship, right? So I think it's interesting, but I wanted to quickly get back to what you mentioned about your greatest advice that you received, or one of the pieces of advice. And so for me, interesting enough, something that I always heard from women and wives, moms, right, depending on which role they're in, is all for women specifically, making sure that we carve out that time for ourselves. Making sure that we carve out that time to just be us and fill our inner cup. We need to fill our inner happiness, because I didn't realize how many times you can look to your partner to fill that inner cup. It's like, gosh, why is it not being filled? Well, it's because you're not giving me the attention. You're not giving me this, that, and the other, not realizing, are you giving yourself the attention? Are you loving on yourself? Are you doing the things that are helping you grow, and really just that inner happiness where you're happy and content with yourself, so you don't necessarily need that piece from your partner, although they will add that on. Really making sure that you fill your own cup is something that I've learned across these past 9 years, because in those first few, probably 5-6 years, my idea of what a wife is supposed to be and a wife is supposed to do is a little bit more on the traditional side for roles, societal roles. And, it should be about your husband. What does he want? You should be catering to him. And don't get me wrong, I still love doing all of that, but I have to fill those empty spaces with myself, with filling up my own cup. And so I just wanted to at least say that, because I know that there's some women that are going to be listening to this and saying, oh my gosh, that is something I need to work on. That's something that I need to continuously do, because I'm being pulled into so many different directions. What about me? Who is, DeAnna? Who am I? And making sure that on a consistent basis, maybe once a week or something of that nature, you're filling your own cup. And I also love, maybe a little retreat. Do a retreat by yourself, right? We have a great resort out here called Savannah Wellness Resort, and it's fantastic if you want to do a solo, or you want to do a girls trip, something like that, where you're able to fill your cup and just get some time to yourself and think and be able to dissect, who am I? Who am I now? What do I want? What do I require?
Yeah, no, it's such a great call out. And I think even, the journaling in those moments as well, of being able to track some of those things, because we are evolving, or we should be.
Yeah.
So who you were last year, right, or year 8 versus year 9 versus year 20 is going to be different.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Let's make sure you're proud, and that's the person that you want to become, right, and that you're growing together. I think that's such a great call on. Something that you touched on a second ago too, which I feel like is rolling right into like almost number 8 here, which we're going to give, these different 9 takeaways, is creating your own routines or creating your own ritual, like your own um, things, like celebratory things that you do. So for example, like Thanksgiving and Christmas and the different holidays, like we've continued to add different things from Christmas light bingo to putting up our tree to like doing a brunch, even Thanksgiving, like mixing up different foods. But like, do we really want turkey? Like, I love the fact
not
that
having to be traditional. You make your own traditions.
You can make your own traditions, and then also being open to where do you celebrate those things? Because a lot of times you're literally blending. Well, man, we got to go over. I mean, I just was talking to somebody. They're like, I got to go to 3 different people's houses because of like their family. Everybody wants to celebrate. And they were like, man, this year we're just celebrating at our house and people can come visit us.
Yes.
And so these things are not easy. They're critical conversations you have to have. They're adjustments you have to have. And people are like, well, why aren't you coming by? Well, everybody's supposed to celebrate at Big Mom's house or at Mom's house. And it's like, no, we're going to do our own thing, but we're going to send photos or we're going to visit you on Christmas Eve or whenever. And that is okay. And I think a lot of times, like, that's not talked about enough, that you have to navigate these situations. You have to have the difficult conversations, or also have to make the difficult decisions that, like, we're going to do what's best for our nucleus and our family because we're creating these new memories.
Yes.
And I think that's so important, but it's just like nobody really talked about that with us when we were getting married or like early on.
No. And again, that was what, 2016 that we were married. So it really is to your mindset changes, and the experiences that you have are now forming potentially a new perspective. And then you're also realizing, we're in the millennial age where we are at that cusp with the baby boomers, right? Where we are changing a lot of the traditional thinking, and we are coming in with a new perspective and saying, actually, does that make sense? Should we keep doing that? Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's take a step back. What works best for us, our family, what we want to be able to do? And, also sometimes it's learning. It's just a learning curve sometimes. And it's experiences that you will learn over time that takes time. Honestly, that takes time. So, anything else on the anniversary side?
I think last but not least, just continue to treat yourselves. And that's treat yourselves to, like we said, experiences. Treat yourselves to really loving on each other and being like it. And that can be not having a lot of money. Like we've been able to love on each other. If there's
we've been there with no money and having money.
And so when there's no money, it literally might be a $1 card from the dollar store. Saying happy anniversary and I love you.
You can clean up for $5.
$5. Come on now. Some arts and crafts really create a gift.
And honestly, that might be one of the best gifts that somebody receives, because you have to think about when you don't have money, you have to get creative. And so when you get creative, it then is, oh my gosh, this isn't something I can necessarily get anywhere else. Correct. I can't go and actually purchase this because you made it with your hands, your creativity. And that actually is more meaningful, at least in my eyes.
Absolutely. The being able to have put in the time, like the sweat equity to build it. And
not sweat equity.
Come on now, sweat equity, cutting out the edges. So that makes a difference even more compared to someone just dropping dollars on it and sending somebody a cash app or something with some money. Put the thought and consideration into it. And then, probably this is number 9, but this is such a major key. We've said this before, but make sure you have a contact for your partner. In their contact in your phone. You're adding in little notes and updates that can help you throughout the year. Oh, what's her shoe size now? Oh my gosh.
What's her favorite flower?
What's her favorite flower?
What's her favorite color?
What's her favorite candy, food, anything. And his too. Right. What are his favorite team? Because these are things you could forget, but you're like, well, oh my gosh, I was going to get him a jersey. And he said he really likes the Detroit Lions or the Patriots, or, I really wanted to make him something or take him somewhere. And he said he'd always wanted to go to 36 Below or somewhere for a cocktail. Like, you can literally incorporate that, and it makes such a big difference. And I love that we're able to give the insights and tips that can help somebody on their marriage journey.
Yes.
And what's also awesome is that this episode is brought to you by Backlot Studios. And this is the home of the best podcast studios in all of Arizona. So shout out to Backlots.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, it's interesting because we have been doing this podcast now, yes, since 2020, but really within the last 6 months, we have added in the video component. Yes. And we were fortunate enough to actually receive some recognition.
Oh, top 50. So come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. We should have dropped this in the beginning of the episode.
I know.
Top 50 podcasts in the world. We were number 16 on the list.
Husband and wife team. So yes, top 50 husband and wife podcasts in the world. We were number 16 on the list. FeedSpot, thank you for featuring us. Yes.
That was really incredible news. And again, 4 years, it hasn't been overnight, but we see the difference of adding in, obviously, YouTube, everybody that's listening from audio, video, tuning in on social media. Like, we appreciate it because it's making a huge difference. And I mean, we're obviously making a big impact on impacting more lives.
Yeah. And that's really our goal. You know, that's why we started the podcast even in 2020, was to use our voices as a force for good. And, you know, I know we started originally, I believe it was because of the murder of George Floyd, because we wanted to truly be able to talk to people and just be able to use our voice in that way. And then as we've evolved over these few years, we've noticed that, oh my gosh, people are gravitating towards the marriage component of what we're talking about. So that's really what we're going to be giving you all more here, is just more on the marriage side. Yes, of course, we're going to be incorporating health and wellness. That's a part of our ethos, and the mindset piece too, but really being able to talk more about marriage, because one thing that I'm even hearing when I talk to, you know, young women is, should I get married? Why get married? What's the point? I can live my best life and do my own thing and not have to worry about somebody else. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings who crave connection. We crave wanting to share a life with somebody or create a life with somebody. And so we're just hoping that we can, you know, shed some more light on the highs and the lows and ways that you can make it work. We obviously are pro-marriage, and so we want to be able to shed light on the ways that it works. And then also, again, some of those difficult underlying conversations that people don't talk about, but it hasn't been necessarily an easy 9 years. We've had to truly learn a lot. There's learning curves. There's times where you're both in this weird, I'm going into a new version of myself, and I'm trying to potentially mourn an old version of myself. What does that look like? How do I communicate that with my partner? And realizing it's a choice every day. When you are married, you have to wake up every day, and it's a choice, because there are so many choices out there now with the apps and with social media. At any point in time, you can just DM somebody, and all of a sudden you have a whole relationship, a whole side family going on. And it's going back to what I mentioned in our previous episode, where I talked about the grass is not always greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And so just focusing on your relationship and realizing that it does take two. There has to be effort on both sides. But it's can be a beautiful thing. And that's what we want to show, is that beautiful side of what marriage looks like. And beautiful in the Bible is the right time at the right place. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I love it. I mean, it's spot on. And I think for anybody that's listening to this, we know this can be a blessing to you, to your relationship, to your marriage. And I think of how blessed we are and how grateful I am to celebrate 9 years in our anniversary. So cheers to many, 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 many more anniversaries, and more love and more life.
Yes. I know people always ask, what are you going to do on your anniversary? So quickly, we're going to go to J&G Steakhouse in Scottsdale. We're really excited. We've worked with them in the past, actually.
The views?
Yes. The views are incredible. The rooftop vibes, honey, I'm here for it.
Get my grub on.
Yeah, I'm going to get my grub on. Surf and serve. The cocktails are good. We're very excited for that. And then we're also going to go to Joya Spa at Omni Monte Lucia.
Typically, I do it might be a massage at the house too, but we definitely going to get a professional one as well.
Well, both.
Definitely.
It's a twofer. That's one of our favorite spas too. And so I cannot wait. That's going to be so nice. And we like the food, actually.
Salmon. I got the salmon salad circled.
Whoa.
you bring out the salmon
divine.
salad?
And they had like a lavender honey drink. I don't know. It was like lavender honey vodka.
In the words of T.I., bring them out, bring them out.
Hey, hey, hey. So yeah, so we're really excited about it. We cannot wait. Cheers to 9 more and to infinity.
Yes.
So we're very excited. All right, CoupleyFit fam, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you follow us on social media at CoupleyFit, CoupleyFit, please like, comment, and let us know what you want to hear about too. As always, keep growing, glowing, and feeling better together. Bye.